Alright, so I had some requests on fleshing a coyote, and I'm gonna do a little tutorial on fleshing a coyote and also turning the coyote and getting it ready for market. This video would be more for beginners, I guess. All the guys that have been trapping lots, they know these type of things. So we'll just get started. A lot of guys, they use their two-handed flesher for the head. I don't, for some reason. I don't know how to do it properly, so I just use a beaver knife, and I just start at the nose on top here. The eyelids are always a little bit difficult for me. Try to get them off of there. Okay. Coyote has some whiskers here and here. You got to be careful. That's a good place to cut a hole in. I sometimes make a mistake and cut a little nick in there. Okay, so that's one side of the head kind of done. Okay, so when I've got this far, I kind of turn the coyote. I like to get most of this black stuff off. I trim the lips off once I have it on the board, but I try to get a little bit off now, because otherwise you got to trim too much. And unfortunately, this coyote is a little bit dry, so these lips don't want to come off very good. Okay. Do the other side. I use the ear as I put the board right in the ear. I cut the cartilage out of the ear last. That's the last thing I do because I'll show you why. Okay, so now we got the head pretty well done. Now what I do is I have one leg on the middle of the board, front leg, and one leg pointing down, and I use my ear as the holder. Now if I would take that cartilage out, my board is pretty pointy. It would come in this ear, and I actually did that once, and it ripped a big hole in here. So I leave the cartilage in till last. Now I take my scraper, two-handed scraper, and I never use the sharp end on the coyote. Okay, so and I just it's this area and the bottom area that's always the worst to scrape. Let's see if I can get a better angle on my video camera here. I can't really get a better angle, so this will have to do. So I scrape right past the front leg. Now you can't see that. I scrape right past the front leg here on both sides. Okay, what I do then, once I got it past the front legs on both sides, I pull it up and I use the front leg as put my board in, and I just keep scraping it down. Now this is a female, so you got to watch out for the nipples, because with scraping, that's where you're going to tear a hole, right in the nipples. And I've had that happen, so happens to all of us. Using a beam and a two-handed flesher is by far the easiest in my eyes. It's not for everybody, but I just love it. It takes a while to master after you've done quite a few. I started with beaver, and Okay, once I've done both sides, I will take and I'll flip it to its back, and just like Swamp of the Boss of the Swamp, I use a clamp. He taught me that. I clamp it here, holds the pelt in place, and now there's a little strip on the back that I couldn't get at. Okay. As you can see, this coyote, I mean, he was in real good shape. This is still a November coyote. Had it in my deep freezer, just couldn't get to it. So, but you can see how there's a lot of production with the scraper. You know, used to take me, you know, when I was back in high school, me and a buddy of mine, it used to take me forever to flush a coyote. Guy didn't have money to buy scrapers and beams, and not knowing that we could build our own. I mean, now it's actually quite enjoyable. I enjoy fleshing an animal. Okay, so now I got all the fat to the back end of the coyote. I start the back, I do the belly first. And like I said, this is not necessarily the right way, this is just how I do things. Okay. The reason I like to start at the belly is now it's finished here, I got somewhere to start with. You know, I find the back end is, sometimes it can be pretty difficult to get the fat off. The meat, there's a membrane that needs to come off. And I clean my coyote completely. You know, I've had guys come up to me and ask me, you know, if they needed to flesh the head, or, you know, fleshing is extremely important. And in my eyes, it's one of the places where you get your pelt to be worth some money. Okay, I've got the belly done. Now I'll cut this big piece of fat right. I'll cut it off here because it's just too much to work with. Okay, you can see how much that's just from the back. That's a lot of. Okay. So what I like to do is I like to have my tail on one side like this, and now I'll flesh this way at an angle. Sometimes you just gotta cut in there a little bit. This guy's got some bite marks. He's been fighting. You can see exactly where the two canine teeth of another coyote or a wolf punched through. Right there and there. Bit into his back end there. I get a lot of that. Oh, I wish you could see that, how nicely that comes off. You know, once you have that membrane started, you just take and you just push down on it, and it just all comes off. It works very, very nice. My camera angle isn't the best, but I have 2 beaver to do yet. Another coyote that needs to be skinned and fleshed, and 2 martens. So, and it's getting later in the day already, so I'm not going to be messing around with my coyote. Yeah, you want to get all that membrane right off the leg. I don't know if you can see that, but that's nice and clean. Okay, so right to the base of the tail, this is all clean here. Now I'll do the same thing on the other side. I'll make sure the tail's on this side, and I'll flesh at an angle like this. Now I gonna have to watch out for these bite marks so I don't really open them up. Now, this is a pretty fatty coyote, so I'm going to have to flesh his tail a little bit. And I do that with my knife. I just do a little ways. Like I said on my, when I skinned a coyote, a guy that's really good to watch and fun to watch, skinning coyotes and fleshing coyotes, is Ryan 5911. He is a master at his craft, and he gets her done, I'm telling you. Okay, so that coyote is fleshed now. Make sure my beam is clean. Now I'm going to go on to the ears. Okay. What I do is, right at the base of the ear here, toward the head, I'll just keep fleshing. I'll keep cutting in until you get the chunk off. It just goes right up the ear. And you can kind of see there's a, there's another little piece there. That's where I start making my cut, and then I just cut around the ear, kind of at the base of the skin, where the skin meets the cartilage. Okay, you can't probably see that. It's kind of awkward trying to... Okay, so now I got a nice big hole here. I reach in, I grab the ear inside out, just like so. Okay. Now right at the base here, I just stick my knife in a little ways, and I'll make a cut there. Do the same on the other side. I'm going to cut myself because I'm trying to show the camera. So just get it started. Then you take your plier and you grab this piece of cartilage and you just pull. There's lots of videos. I was wondering about this. There's lots of videos on removing ear cartilage on YouTube. This ear is a little bit chewed up, so probably some of it came off, but you can see the majority of it. This coyote's been fighting. So there's my ear. There's a little bit of cartilage left here. I'm going to take that off now and just clean up the ears around. But I think that's all I'm going to show you about fleshing a coyote, and the next part will be putting it up onto the board.